All right, so let's get into it. Let's get into Turning Red. Turning Red, which is the Disney Plus film here that's going to be streaming. It has a limited theatrical release, as Marley was telling me. Turning Red only is available in 4 theaters across the nation, so it's only available in 2 theaters in LA and then 2 theaters in New York. You were saying?
Don't quote me on that like 100%, but I know it does have a limited release. Like I know that there's like a few theaters in LA and a few theaters in New York. I don't know the exact number, but that was news to me. That it does have a theatrical release, but it's just there to get Oscar like contention. So, which it should, because this is one of those animated films that I feel like should be nominated for Best Picture.
It's one of the it's one of them sad Pixar movies a little.
Yeah, so in this film here, you have a 13-year-old girl, Maylene, and her group of friends who are Abby, Priya, and Miriam. So you have a group of friends there, and you have the 13-year-old girl, Miriam, who has a tradition in her family, this culture where she, there's moments during puberty where she turns into a coming of age, if you will, a maturing, a flowering into a woman.
And she's a girl, not yet a woman.
And part of that is her turn into a giant red panda. Is part of that kind of this situation that's been involved in her family for generations. While she's kind of dealing with all this, she does have a overbearing mother who's played by Sandra Oh. And
AKA Justin, just an Asian mother.
You do kind of have that there, and all the while, to add even more stress here, she also really wants to make it to this concert of her favorite boy band called the Four Town. And so you have all that kind of added there. So in this film here, that is available on streaming now if you do have Disney Plus. You do have the action here. And I will say that, this clocks in an hour and 47, and for me, I think I was talking with Marley before the show, it just breezes by. I think it does a good job.
It really does.
Does have great energy, does have great, momentum to the film constantly. And, does have great energy, and, I think it allows you to really watch it, without even really noticing the runtime. And then I know some people didn't kind of like the animation when it was first presented, or the look of it. But I think it fits for the story that it's telling, and it's definitely kind of the sort of different animation that Pixar has done, normally and typically. So I'm going to go around there.
Yeah, it's the same animation style that was in the director's last short for Pixar, which director is Domi Shi. She directed that short, Bao,
which
the
is
one
great.
where it's like this. It's an incredible short. It's the one where it's this Chinese Canadian woman. She's like making dumplings, and then the dumpling like comes to life.
Oh, that one. Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw that one.
The one where she like ate her son.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember.
Very disturbing. Pixar animated short.
Oh, okay. I remember that.
It's like where it's going, but when it actually happens, you don't think Pixar is gonna go there. But then I remember, they literally murdered an entire school of fish at the beginning of one of their movies.
It's nothing, by the way.
So I think it does fit very nicely for the story that it's telling, and it is very loud and bright in that way of kind of how some kids' animated movies can be. But I think in the story that it's telling, very much like kind of like you see with Encanto, telling this kind of generational family type issue, that's where the drama is coming from. And it's not just typical villain type issue of there's a big villain coming in and destroying things. It's the internal struggle with the family that is the real good stuff here. And I think that makes it incredibly relatable and very, very good stuff. So I'm just going to go around. Dusk, what were kind of your thoughts here, seeing Turning Red?
I thought the art design fit the more energetic style of the movie. I thought There are a lot of good and bright colors, and I thought the representation for just the Chinese culture in it was very nice to see. You don't get to see that too often in a more mainstream kind of movie format. But I think while I liked a lot of aspects of it, I think unfortunately the movie is caught in like two different worlds. It wants to be two different. It wants to tell two different stories. It wants to tell the story of this red panda and the coming of age story of this girl and the kind of mystical side of this story. And then it's also the internal struggle of a family and kind of how Asian culture kind of there's this almost generational pain that's come through this family, and it's never truly being recognized, and it's just kind of building and building and building, and it's come to this kind of really breaking point here with this newest generation. And both sides, they kind of dip their hands into it, but they never really get a full grip of either because they want to do both, and it doesn't quite mesh at certain points, and it feels like I'm watching two different movies. That's just my take on it. Not to say either one was bad, but I would have preferred
Okay.
if they stuck more to one, because a lot of this is semi-autobiographical.
Okay. From the director's own kind of, background and
Yeah,
everything like that.
she said from her background this is semi-autobiographical, and you can tell in a lot of aspects because she herself is Chinese Canadian, and you can see how that kind of bled into it. And honestly, I would have preferred to see more of that aspect of it, to be a little bit more biographical in that nature. But if they were going to go that way, but as is the movie from that, that was like the biggest thing for me.
Okay. Marlon. Okay.
It's an interesting take, but I love this film. I've seen it about 5 times since it's released, probably more than that, because I've had it on in the background. Just because this film is just an absolute joy to like watch and also just listen to and just have as like ambient noise. Like I'll just like be editing like a video and just have it on in the background and just love just seeing like the art direction just out of the corner of my eye, and just like I like every second of this film you can freeze frame and just like I could like print a picture of it and put it on my wall and be like, wow, that's really great art direction. I think it's probably one of the better like Pixar. I've been a fan of Pixar since the original Toy Story, and I feel like this film is like the first film where like fans of Pixar are actually making Pixar films. So they're pulling all their love from what they loved from the original Toy Story and just kind of making like their own stories. That's what I enjoyed most about this. And yeah, and also Disney's 2 for 2 on generational trauma. Like really? Like you don't need to do that to me, Disney. I'm like I was already bawling my eyes out with Encanto, and now with Turning Red, I was like, by the end of this film, like I was just like in tears. Like this,
It's like hello, emotional damage.
Yeah. Emotional, damn it. No, I'm just kidding.
Emotional, damn it.
Hunter?
Oh yeah, so I was really offended by the movie because we can't talk about periods, because that's bad. I just so just for the record, if you're one of those parents, like you're the reason we get Fox News viewers because you're not raising your kids correctly. So get over yourself and actually learn to talk to your children. Don't let Disney and Pixar do the fucking job for you. Like it's kind of insane that you watch this movie and it's very clear pretty early on what it's a metaphor for. And so when the panda happens, you're like, oh, this is being played as a joke. But, and what I found really fascinating about it is that the main character, I am completely blank on her name, Mei Lin, right?
Yeah.
Mei Li.
Mei Li, thank you.
Malin Lee.
She has this thing involving this boy she likes that she should be telling a counselor in about 5 years. It's one of those things that you just go, holy shit. Like, it is such a mind melt moment. But, dude, I I had something kind of similar happen, man, and I was like, oh no, I know you're gonna be talking about this in 5 years. Like, oh yeah, so that's when I started having this tick, right? And it's just like, oh girl, I'm so sorry. And your heart just breaks for her. And so when she has her moment where she really tells her mom, how she feels, you go, yeah, like fair. You've been put through the ringer for this whole movie, but where that movie hits you in the end, as far as the generational trauma and kind of understanding it, it's this thing you just go, God damn, and it's this gut punch. But then the movie kind of goes like, it's okay, like this is like you can work through this shit. But it's such a the animation, it's like if Tex Avery did an anime. Like it's a fucking trip in the best way. The way it's kind of like erratic at points, you're kind of like, wait, what the fuck just happened? And like you rewind it in the best way to see like, oh shit, did I missed something? And the way that the third act breaks down into this emotional monster fight, you're just like, wow, okay, like the movie, yeah.
It just becomes Pacific Rim. It just becomes Pacific Rim at that point.
Yeah, and it works somehow, and you're like, okay, but the one scene for me is when she's talking to her dad. It's only like a 2-minute scene, but that scene is where I'm just like, I was like, oh Jesus Christ, and I just could not.
That dad is the best
stop
character
her.
in this whole movie, and he is the only common sense out of everyone. He's the quietest in this whole movie. And he just lets himself be like. First, you're like, oh, he's just getting walked over, and he kind of is. But every time he talks,
is realistic.
you're like, yeah, pretty much.
It is.
But
It
every
really
time
is.
he actually
Which
says
is
something,
completely
it's like,
realistic
oh.
for Asian families. That's
It's just like, oh,
Mom,
he actually had
Mom.
the answer.
Yeah, rules everything.
Yeah, but it's one of those things too that when, and this is something they do, like we do almost specifically in female led films that always just pisses me off. It's like we have to have the females fight for absolutely no fucking reason to break them up, and the fight that they have here is one of those fights you go, yeah, this is a fight you would have especially before you hit high school, and it's so when it occurs you go, yeah, okay, you're in a tough spot, but you didn't stick up for your friends, and that's fucked up. But but there's layers to this movie where you just go, okay, like I'm actually gonna need to kind of sit back and think on this. The pacing is absolutely perfect. Like it starts off, the intro is fucking wonderful. It reminded me a lot of Booksmart, where just like from the moment the intro hits, you're like, okay, you guys know what you're doing, and it just continues on this trajectory where you go, all right, you're keeping it up. Oh, this is great. And it just continues. Actually, it's a great double feature of Booksmart. I did that last weekend. But it's one of those movies where I just went, I love Soul. I really love Soul. I think Soul's an incredible film. I loved Raya and the Last Dragon. I loved, oh my gosh, Encanto, of course. But you could make a case that it's the best of the four. Like, you could. I'm not saying it is, but you could. And the fact that that's even something that you can say, I think is just a testament to how well done this film is, from start to finish. And it's, it's one of those things I went, I'm so happy I saw this after seeing Uncharted. So
Oh, man.
Yeah, Nick.
Well said.
Yeah. First off, fuck Uncharted. Secondly,
Agreed.
this is. I keep going back and thinking about my favorite Pixar movies, and especially after seeing this one, it's one of those that this is probably going to end up in my favorite Pixar movies of all time. It's one of those films. The animation, it's unique for Pixar. It very much has that kind of same style and energy as something like Steven Universe. That on Cartoon Network. You're telling the story about this Asian child and a lot of the generational like trauma and issues that come with being in a family like that, and going to a conclusion that is heartbreaking. Especially when we finally get the resolution between Maylin and her mother, who's voiced by Sandra Oh. However, this is one of the most unrealistic expectations because you have Asian mother and daughter actually talking.
Damn.
But yeah, this is one of the movies that put me through the emotional ringer, much like it did with Mei Lin, who I think is voiced wonderfully by this actress Rosalie Chang.
Yeah. Let kids be weird, by the way. Like, it's okay to be weird.
Let kids
honestly.
Yeah, these horny ass teenagers.
But it's like, dude, what teenager isn't horny at 13?
Nick, you gotta be careful on using that one word. Nick, you gotta be careful on using that one word, or you might get canceled real hard.
Yeah, like,
especially when it comes to this movie.
Come at me, bro.
All I would tell her is be careful when you turn 16, 17, because you are in Canada and Drake is everywhere. So just be. But allegedly, pardon me, don't want to get sued.
Allegedly.
But there's a lot of. I think you have the sillier side of this movie, but it also balances those mature topics. Like you have these girls wanting to go to this let's call it what it is, this One Direction concert in order to become women.
But you can't really say One Direction because this film takes place in the early.
Oh right. So it was like Backstreet Boys essentially.
Yeah, NSYNC or something like that. This movie takes place 2002. So you have they had their little phones and you know what I mean, texting and
Tamagotchis.
Their little what do you call those?
So cute.
The pocket. What do you call them? Pocket
Tamagotchis. The pocket animals that you had to take care of.
Yeah, you had those. Cute. Yeah, that was there. Brought that back. So I guess bringing it back. I guess if the director, she's 34, then she would have been around the age 13 or around this time in 2002. So it very much is bringing back her life of what she kind of experienced there. And then you have this friend group here. You have Mei Lin and you have Miriam. All have very distinct personalities. Priya and Abby. Abby's really, I think. Abby, I think, I'm not very big on this, but I think you got to put that girl on some medication, calm her down just a little. I think she's a little too much, you know what I mean?
Wait, which one's Abby? Which one was Abby? Was she the short one? Short Korean one.
And she was the MODOK looking one. She was kind of the MODOK design.
You're cold for that.
Did she not?
She'll grow into her head. Calm down.
Did she not look like MODOK a little bit,
No, you're earnest. You're earnest. I just didn't even. Oh Lord.
Everyone needs a friend like her though, because she's that hype man. She's the Flavor Flav of the group. Like she's that person who gets everyone ready to do shit. Like you need a friend like her.
Not just Abby, but you just need. I just wish growing up in the early 2000s, I had friends like Mei Lin had. Just because, this is probably one of the greater friend groups that I've seen, on screen. And it's so nice seeing, just four, just 13-year-old girls, on screen that are just super dorky and just having a good time and just expressing themselves for who they are. And it's so great. I wanted to see this film on the big screen, but I'm really glad that people it's accessible on Disney+.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be on the big screen.
Yeah, I wonder.
Yeah.
So I wonder if, because obviously Hunter brought up the controversy involved in this film. I wonder if they did look at it and go well, I mean, because they just, it's not really a metaphor. I mean, they come out and talk about it in the movie. They talk about administrative. I mean, there's a scene where the mother goes to deliver her pads. You know what I mean? And and you actually see them. So
that's a great scene.
It's terrifying, and again, speaking to the accuracy of Asian mothers, that's 100%.
Oh, you kind of cut out there for a second. What'd you say, Nick?
Oh, it's 100% something that an Asian mother would do.
Oh yeah. So I mean, you do,
in front of everybody. You forgot your pad.
Well, it's like the whole since no one said it, I'll say it. Will someone please think of the children? There we go. Cool. We got that.
Children.
Yeah, your kids need to see this. It's one of those things you just need to fucking normalize. You're 13. You're gonna experience this shit anyway or hear about it. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, it's fine.
Yeah, because I was seeing a Twitter thread of people talking about the movie, and then seeing women comment on it and saying this happened to them as early as 9, 9, 10, so it happens kind of early like that in the stages, and how uncomfortable that experience can be, and so and then dealing with that, like you said, like Marley said, dealing with these girls and dealing with girl emotions of being attracted to boys, and seeing that experience and going through that coming of age, and then dealing with your family, the pressures put upon you, and generational issues, and I think it all culminates into a very good movie. And then it's nice, this I do also really like the ending of this movie too. I wasn't expecting that ending as well with this, which I thought was very solid as well with this. And
where they just destroyed downtown Toronto and then just
Yeah,
just
it
working
becomes
out
a
their
kaiju
issues.
film.
yeah,
Yeah.
It becomes a kaiju film.
I mean, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, basically with that, yeah, it becomes kind of a kaiju thing. So I wasn't really expecting that with it, which was kind of nice. And yeah, I think that what makes this movie good is not just the message of the movie. I mean, yes, it's a good message that it's telling, but it's that's not the only thing that makes it good. I think also the humor in it is very good, and seeing these girls all interact is very good. And when they have their big, because you always in these movies, like Hunter said, you got to have the breakup moment. They kind of fracture as a friend group. It's over something that is realistic, and when the reconciliation does happen, it is a good reconciliation, which I thought
At least is properly set up, even relatively early in dialogue, where
Yeah.
whether or not my mother isn't exactly like some of you, and they're like, wait, what? And it's just like quick, but it's there. They set that up early, where it's like, okay, something's gonna happen. She's gonna have to make a choice, and at that point, she doesn't make the choice she really wants to make.
yeah.
'Cause she doesn't know. She don't know.
Yeah, and confronting that of and you may kind of look at this movie and go, traditional kind of kids movies. What's always the core message of a lot of kids movies? Be yourself. You know what I mean? That's always the big thing in a lot of kids movies. And that has the core message here of be yourself and be true to yourself, and and everything like that. And that's here too. So you may kind of find that a little maybe generic, that kind of sentiment and that kind of aspect. So Dusk, what would kind of your general kind of sum ups of the movie, and kind of any bads, any negatives for you?
Aside from I think it's kind of trapped in the two world, and it kind of saw two different movies that were kind of vying and not quite gelling as I think it could have been. Honestly, I don't really have too many complaints of the movie. The movie's fine. It's a solid movie. It's got a good premise. The animation is good. I like the metaphors that they introduce it with it. The straight up not metaphors, they just straight out and say it. I think overall it's just another solid good movie from Pixar. I think it's something that people can show, and regardless of what gender, they'll be able to get it. And especially, I think the message really hits it on the head in the final notes of the movie when they're in a certain realm, and you get to really kind of see a little bit of that generational burden, and that's when you really start to go, okay, this is what this is really, really about, and this is what you're supposed to overcome. It's not about, but yeah, I think it's just a solid movie all around. What complaints I would have here and there would be, just maybe just bit of tone whipping back and forth here and there, but it has such a manic energy to it that it usually bounces back fairly quickly. So it doesn't like steep too much in whatever tone it's kind of in, and it's kind of keeps that pretty manic energy throughout. So, I mean, for the most part, I think it's a solid movie overall.
Tune in.
Yeah, I'd say it's a low tune in. I think you definitely low tune in. You can check it out. You have a good time, and especially I think it's just a solid, good show. Not amazing. I wouldn't call it like one of the best movie. I didn't love it, but I think it is a good, solid movie. And kudos to the animation team for making such a beautiful, vibrant place of Toronto, like of Canada. It's always sun in that movie.
Yes, a realistically diverse Toronto.
Yeah, of Toronto. Oh my God, it's actually sunning. There's sun exists in Toronto. Oh my God.
Not one moose.
Blasphemy!
That's bullshit.
Marley?
Yeah, I love this film. I said on TikTok this is my favorite Pixar film like ever. Like,
Really?
and I will
Wow.
stand by that. I will stand by that.
Damn.
Just because
Wow.
I love that. Like I said, I love that this movie is like made by fans of Pixar, and like they're just telling like their own stories, and they're following those typical Pixar beats. And what a lot of people on TikTok have been talking about, like this film, they've been comparing Encanto, obviously, because these are two films that deal with generational trauma. I think I actually like Turning Red more than Encanto, just because Disney, the Encanto, I love Encanto as much as the next person, but it Disney animated films always have like this weird sort of animation style where they're kind of like being goofy with the characters and just like their facial expressions. Turning Red like felt so grounded and relatable. I know that this film like relatable has been used a lot with Turning Red, but it I just love that the animation just felt so grounded, and like I can actually see like these girls like existing in real life, even though it's an animated film. And I can't like I can't really see that much with Encanto, because Encanto was very like fantastical and dealt with magic and stuff like that. So did this, but this felt like it actually like I could believe it. But that could be controversial, but I don't know. That's just what I thought.
Yeah.
Fantastical Madrigal, would you say? Is that what
Yeah. Yes.
Hunter? Oh, Marley, what would you say? A high tune in from you?
Oh, it's definitely a high tune in for me. It's Turning Red. If you haven't seen it already, why? Just go. It's so easy. Just get Disney Plus and just watch it. So
Not everybody wants to pay money for it.
We don't have to. It's not like I mean, you could just pay the $7 subscription, do that, or do the free trials. Just keep making new emails. Do the free
It's
trials.
true.
Because it's not
If you
like
really want to.
it's not like Raya the
yeah.
Last Dragon. It's not like you have to pay $30 to.
That is another thing I'll give bonus. I
Oh,
give
hell
credence
no.
to. It's
Yeah.
going to do a lot better because it didn't have that. Not to say that Raya was like a great movie, because it wasn't, but that didn't help either. But this having that at its money is going to definitely help it in the long run.
Yeah. Hunter.
Yeah, so yeah, to put a cap on it, if you're one of those parents who's offended by this, A, you're dumb. B, your kids go to public school. You should be more concerned about them being shot than learning about periods. But I digress. The movie is fucking excellent. I really don't have a complaint about it. I watched it with my partner and we were like, holy shit, this is incredible. And then I got really stoned and watched it again like the next day. I'm like, yep, still great. Yeah, it's one of those movies that I'm just like, I'm telling people actively to watch it with their kids and be like, hey, this will actually warrant a discussion, and hey, maybe you can actually learn like from each other about trauma you've both gone through. Like, I think it'll actually be a very important movie that we don't even realize the scope of it right now, and I don't think it will really be felt until like a couple years from now when we kind of look back and go, "Man, that was actually a really important film." So, yeah, it's the highest tune in that I can possibly give. I was so happy when this movie's over, and I'll probably watch it again in a couple weeks. So, yeah, it's great shit.
Nick.
And Disney, quit shafting Pixar, please. Release this movie in theaters. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, dude, I absolutely adored this film. One of the best Pixar movies in a very long time. It's one of those Pixar movies that after it was done, I immediately wanted to just queue it up and watch it again. It's a film with a great message, something that I think it's not really a children's film. This is a really mature story that an entire family can take lessons from. I give this the highest tune in that I could possibly give something.
Yeah.
Not just for this incredibly gorgeous animation style, the incredible voice talents of this entire cast. It all comes together in this beautiful package. And also, yeah, Four Town Forever.
Yes, I need a fourth one.
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna echo
Yeah,
a lot of. Oh, go ahead.
well, I was just echoing the Four Town Forever. Can we please get We Don't Talk About Bruno off of the #1 charts and get Four Town charting at #1?
I don't know. That's still catchy. It's still catchy. I don't
It's-
think it's gonna do it. I think Bruno's gonna stay, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm
But
sorry.
we don't talk about Bruno.
Yeah, but it's still gonna be said, man. Still gonna be said.
Well, he's never not on my mind.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo a lot of things like I've been saying throughout the entire review. I think it's a very solid movie. You know, I think
Yeah, it's fine.
am I in love with the film? Do I think it's like one of the best Pixar movies? I don't know. Probably not. But I still think it is very good and very solid. And just very much how I kind of felt about something like Encanto, where I was just like, you know, it's not particularly blowing me away, but it still is very good. I do enjoy it. And I do love the voice cast of this. I think they do a great job. I do love the story that they're telling. I do love how it is a very personal story for the director, and she was able to express that in this. And I do love, you know, it talking about, in the situation, hey, 13-year-old girls are just as weird and, nasty as, 13-year-old boys and everything like that. All the thoughts you had when you were 13-year-old and you were a boy are probably the same thoughts that 13-year-old girls have. So, there you go. So there's that in there. And then bringing that into the movie, I think is very nice. And so, yeah, I would give it a very strong tune in with this. I think it is a very good movie and easily accessible. You check it out on Disney Plus. And it is good for the family to watch it out. It's not anything perverted. It's not anything going on here that's, you know what I mean? It's just, it's just talking about, a girl.
No,
and kind of
all of those complaints are only because this is a story about an Asian woman. That's it.
Yeah.
Get your head out of your racist ass.
I can't wait for a YouTube compilation of all the dad scenes, though.
Yeah. And
I can't wait.
yeah, and
Or he's
this,
just in the
Can we
background
just-
doing stuff. I just want those cuts whenever he's on screen. He's doing something.
Yeah, especially the cut where it's probably the most beautiful animation like ever
him
in
cooking?
Pixar.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cooking scene. Oh my god, I was drooling and just amazed at that animation.
I was thinking back to
yeah.
Ratatouille on how beautiful Ratatouille is, and then you go from here and you're like, wow, they've really technology, that gap going from how long ago, almost 10 years to now. Damn, I almost want to see another Ratatouille just now that they have the technology, the power.
oh yeah. And think about think about also the voice talent. They got a lot of also Asian all stars in here. You got Madame Gao is in this. You got you also have let's see.
You got James Hong.
James Hong is in here. Madame Gao, who's Wang
good.
Chin-ho, she's in.
Lori Tan Chin, who plays Aquafina's grandma on North Queens.
Yeah.
Love that show too. Oh, show's so great.
Yeah, we got a lot of Asian all stars in here. So yeah. So yeah. So tune ins from everybody across the board. Yeah, very nice.
So tune in. Yeah, still solid movie. It's fine.